On the news, voting ends in Ondo governorship election, sorting and counting begin. Governor Abiodun votes in Ogun local government election, hails peaceful conduct. And President Tinubu to host Indian Prime Minister Modi on Sunday in Abuja. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Atigun. Voting has ended in the Ondo governorship election hours after the exercise began in the 3,933 polling units of the southwest state. In some parts of the state, the exercise ended around 2:30 p.m. with sorting and counting of votes already in process. In this report, our correspondent Tamilore Akinkwole provides details of election day activities from the voter turnout to the voting process.
The build-up to the much-anticipated Ondo State governorship election and the exercise itself on November 16 was largely peaceful, devoid of the usual political drama witnessed in several elections. At various polling units, INEC ad hoc staff arrived quite early with sensitive materials in readiness for the election. Accreditation began at exactly 7 a.m. with voting officially commencing at 8:30 a.m.
When I came, I saw a very smooth atmosphere. Everybody is very peaceful. The law enforcement officers, they are very optimum in their job. And then the electoral officers, they started at exactly 8:30 a.m. Everything went smooth. So there's no rancor here. And I hope that whatever is happening here at Onikokodia can go all over the state, all over Ondo State. Because yesterday I saw the news when President Tinubu said there must be peace in electoral process in Ondo State. So whatever we are doing here, I hope other people can emulate us and make sure that everything is going smooth.
The turnout as at this moment is not bad. And the security, everybody is here and everything is okay. I've not seen anything wrong at this moment. And the INEC as well, they're still performing very well. My advice to the voter is that whenever they finish their voting, they should stay behind and keep watching.
Security officers are there on stand, guiding everybody. No violence, nothing whatsoever that happened. The electoral material arrived at appropriate time, and the voting system commenced at 8:30 in the morning. And we are still in the voting process.
Even before this election started, people thought that there is going to be violence that will be unleashed on the polity. But we thank God Almighty, our people are so peaceful, the conduct generally satisfactory. For example, you have the INEC officials, they were here at the appropriate time, the river working extremely beautifully, everything fine.
Voters eager to perform their civic responsibilities then began checking their names on the list pasted on the walls to ensure it tallies with information on their PVCs before casting their ballot. Residents as well as other government officials commended the smooth conduct of the polls at their polling units. Some polling units, however, witnessed low voter turnout with only security agents and INEC ad hoc staff being cited. Meanwhile, observers say vote buying was a reoccurring concern in several parts of the state, despite efforts to curb it.
The only situation we're having is that we're also seeing a lot of vote buying taking place in some of the polling units we saw. So the only thing is that INEC is trying their best, and every time there's an election, INEC is improving. We only pray that INEC should continue to improve. And we should also try and see how we can educate our people to come out and cast their vote without anybody giving you money. You should not indulge in vote buying. Come and vote your conscience. Vote the person you want to take over the state for the next 4 years. So we are still appealing to political parties to talk to their people not to engage in vote buying. Because as I'm talking to you, some of the places we are seeing vote buying. But it's only one incident that the police has apprehended some people who were doing the vote buying.
With voting now over, attention now shifts to various collation centers where the results will be collected at the 18 local government areas before they are eventually sent out to the state collation center where they eventually announce the winner. Tamilore Akinkwole, TV360, Lagos.
Well, let's cross over to our correspondent Tamilore Akinkwole, who's in Akure, the Ondo State capital, to get updates on current development. Tamilore, voting has officially ended and sorting and counting have commenced. How is that process going right now?
All right, thank you, Simi. I'm reporting from Akure, like you said, but just currently I am not in any polling unit. But when I was there, each unit had already collated the vote, and they were moving to ward to announce. And surprisingly, I was at the St. Stephen's Anglican ward where votes from Akure South, to be precise, were being collated there. And surprisingly, the little voters that voted in each of those polling units were there to witness the count. So when we asked the voters, they were like, they want to know if the process was going to be without any irregularities. They don't want it rigged. So they were patiently waiting for each of the votes to be counted. So apparently the wards are already collecting the results. From the wards, then the results, the collation now moves to the INEC office in Akure.
Now, some voters reportedly got to their polling units quite late. That's after the exercise had ended, but we hear they were still allowed to exercise their franchise. What else can you tell us regarding this information?
Oh, all right. So as regards this, a little bit of mix-up could have happened in the sense that according to ad hoc INEC staffs at each of the polling units, voting continues for those that are on the queue. At exactly 2:30, they stop people from joining the queue. So I want to assume that those that were still voting as at 2:30 p.m. were those already on the queue at each of those polling units. But the areas I checked in Akure, as at 2:30, they stopped voting and stopped accepting people onto the queue. And those that didn't even have anybody on the line just started counting their votes. That's all I have to say about that, Simi.
All right, then, Tamilore, thank you very much for providing that very important information. That was our correspondent, Tamilore Akinkwole in Akure, keeping us up to date on developments in Ondo State following the conduct of the governorship election. 17 political parties fielded candidates for the Ondo State governorship election. However, many have described it as a two-horse race between incumbent Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa of the ruling All Progressives Congress and Agbola Ajayi of the opposition People's Democratic Party. Speaking during an assessment of the voting process with TV360 Nigeria, legal practitioner Liberos Oshoma says polls are not decided by battleground states as seen during the national elections.
In this case, if the candidate, for a candidate to be declared winner of the election, the candidate must not only score the highest number of vote cast, he must also score at least a quarter of the total vote in 2/3 of the local government. So thank God in this election, just like you had the national election where you had people arguing whether Abuja should have special status. So there is no local government territory, or the state's headquarters is not a special state that people will now begin to argue.
Yeah, I was going to ask that if it's compulsory that you must win Akure, for instance.
No,
that is
no. They all carry. There are no special votes. There are no special votes. The court world over had consistently ruled on that in democracy. There are no special votes, and so for this. You don't have to win Akure. You can win, but at least provided you have the highest number of vote cast. And then you don't even need to win either of the local government. Just have the highest number of vote cast and have at least a quarter of the total number of vote cast in 2/3 of the local government. So that's what the rule requires.
Well, let's get more reactions to the conduct of the governorship election in Ondo State. Election observer Nelson Ekudrimi joined me via Skype. Also joining via Zoom is the chairman, Ondo Redemption Front, Ayo Ologun. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Ekujimi. Several candidates and voters have faulted the election process. You observed that election. What is your response to complaints that the exercise was marred with irregularities, particularly vote buying and voter intimidation?
Well, thank you very much. I'm right now still in Akure, the Ondo State capital, and I can tell you for free, I monitored the election from the beginning of the process to the close of voting officially at 2:30 p.m. But if anybody is ascribing that the election was marred by irregularities and vote buying, then I think as a journalist, we need to ask them to substantiate that by availing the courts after the announcement and declaration of results. But from what we have seen, INEC arrived early at the polling stations this morning. In some polling stations, INEC got there as early as 6:40, 6:45 a.m. And in most polling stations across the state, by 8:30 a.m., accreditation and voting had commenced. So INEC did its job perfectly well. Voters in some areas were large, we had large turnout, and in some other areas, we had turnouts that were low. But we expected that as the day went by, there are more voters will come out to vote, knowing the nature of our people, that our people who have this, laid-back attitude of waiting to allow people to go and vote, then I will come and vote later. Oh, go and check for me. Is the queue long, or is there nobody else on the line, so that I can just come and vote within 1 second and leave? So largely the election has been peaceful, the election has been credible. Everybody is satisfied with the process, even though we understand and we recognize that we had some lacuna or shortcomings, like you ascribe to the issue of vote buying. But we know that vote buying is a menace that has been with us for some time, and it has been with us since the creation of humanity. But as Nigerians who want a better electoral system, we can only continue to educate and sensitize the electorate to see the danger that vote buying and vote selling poses to our democracy as well as our society at large.
Let me come to you, Mr. Ologun. What's your general assessment of the Ondo governorship election? Did the process meet your expectations? Well, I'm afraid we lost Mr. Ologun there. Let me come back to you, Mr. Nelson Ekujimi. Some polling units recorded very low turnout based on reports, and, very low turnout. Even at some other polling units, no voters at all. What are your thoughts on this development? Is it that people are not interested in voting? Mr. Nelson, I directed that question to you. I mean, how about voter turnout based on reports that some polling units recorded little or no voters at all?
Well, I think the question of voters turnout at our elections is something that should provoke serious concern to all of us as Nigerians. As I speak to you, I'm disturbed, I'm worried that how come at every elections you have to go and talk to people to come and exercise their God-given and constitutional right. I just cannot rationalize it. And that is why some of these parties even engage canvassers to go and talk to people to come out of their homes to vote. So it also boils down to the fact that a lot of our people, it's not only a Nigerian problem, it's a global problem, but I'm concerned about Nigeria because this is my home. This is my ancestral land. I have no other place, and I want the best for it. So it's something that there are multiplicity of factors that could be responsible. But as people want a better society, what we can do is to research and find out what is the reason behind. Is it because our people are illiterate? The mass of, don't also forget, it's a truism that the mass of our people are largely illiterate. Even educated ones, we are even talking about the illiterate who are not coming out to vote. Even educated ones. I mean, if we do a survey of those that participated in the elections, you recognize that it's a mix. It could be that even the educated ones are the larger percentage that don't come out to vote because they want to enjoy the comfort of their homes. People don't want to go through any inconvenience. I was on a national TV station this morning, and somebody was saying the registration process XYZ was too cumbersome. And I said, look, the walk to freedom is a long walk. It's not a tea party. So Nigerians must be ready to pay the price to ensure that we sustain this democracy. To wait.
Thank you, Mr. I'm sorry I have to cut you short. Let me go back to Mr. Ologun, who is back. Mr. Ologun, what's your general assessment of the Ondo State election? And also, how would you react to reports of low voter turnout in some polling units?
Well, thank you very much. The low turnout of voters is not just in some polling units. It cuts across the entirety of the landscape of Ondo State. And this is not unexpected. If you look at the figure of those who registered to vote in this election, it was about 2.2 million or thereabout. Eventually, only about 1.7 million took their voters card. That being substantially about 400 to 500,000 individuals registered but did not turn up to collect their voters card. And I projected, while speaking on one of the national television this morning, that if you look at the trajectory of the record of voting in Ondo State, no governor since 1999 till now has won election in Ondo State with over 500,000. The margin has always been between 350 to 500,000 votes for the winner, which means, just like I projected in the morning, that less than 900,000 might likely vote in today's election, which is just about half of the total number of those that collected their voters card. And that is only what played out. And this is not unexpected.
Well, unfortunately, we lost Mr. Ologun again. Well, all eyes are on Ondo State to know who would be declared winner of that election. Now, away from the Ondo elections, the governor of Ondo State, Dapo Abiodun, on Saturday cast his vote in the ongoing local government polls at polling unit 002 Ita Osayin, Iperu Ward 3 in the Ikenne local government area of the state. While fielding questions from journalists after the exercise, Abiodun hailed the Ogun State Independent Electoral Commission for its preparedness to ensure the success of the election. He also hailed the turnout of voters for the exercise, saying that it implies people's confidence and assurance that their choices will tally with the results. In other stories, President Bola Tinubu will on Sunday, November 17, welcome Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a state visit at the presidential villa in Abuja. A statement by the president's spokesman, Bayo Ononuga, said the Prime Minister is scheduled to arrive in Nigeria on Saturday. His visit to Nigeria will be the first by an Indian Prime Minister since Manmohan Singh's state visit in 2007, when the two nations established a strategic partnership. We'll take a short break. Coming up on the news, Gabon votes in referendum on new constitution after military coup in 2023. Stay with us for details.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. Two of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, so...
Oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We are only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Okay, which game was with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. Let's take you through our major stories. Voting has ended in the Ondo governorship election hours after the exercise began in the 3,933 polling units of the southwest states. In some parts of Ondo, the exercise ended around 2:30 p.m. with sorting and counting of votes already in process. We also informed you that President Bola Tinubu will on Sunday, November 17, welcome Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a state visit at the presidential villa in Abuja. His visit to Nigeria will be the first by an Indian Prime Minister since Manmohan Singh's state visit in 2007, when the two nations established a strategic partnership. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. On business, the Lagos State government says it is accelerating the industrial hub and special economic zones to facilitate ease of doing business in the state. This information was given by the Lagos State Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, Folashade Ambrose Medebem, at the opening ceremony of the annual Entrepreneur Conference, represented by Osheifa Atitebi, the Director of the Agribusiness Support Unit in the Ministry of Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment. Ambrose Medebem said facilitation of expo training is a key priority to economic sustainability.
The power of perspective says that life happens for you. It's a possibilities mindset. Because you see that this thing that happened, though, is not against me. It has happened for me, good or bad. Life happens to you. I'm a victim. Then you carry everything on your head. You drop your shoulders, you drop your face, you drop your countenance, you lower your energy. No. Hold yourself to a higher standard. The time is now. Take responsibility and become accountable to yourself for where you are today.
We have a one-stop shop, meaning that right there, your NAFDAC, your SON, whatever you want to do when it comes to business, either you're an adult or a youth, you're good to go. So Lagos is there for you. God has really blessed us with mineral resources, whatever we need to develop as a state, as a country, and as a continent. So if we work together, we are adults, we can help the youth, tell them where to go and how to go about it.
Economically, things are not, that strong, but it's actually when the spirit of entrepreneurship should come forth. The spirit of resilience in the midst of challenges, the spirit of risk-taking, and that's why it's called Power Up, from challenges to opportunities. So we know that the challenges are right before us, but the core spirit of an entrepreneur is that irrespective of what faces you, you stand up, walk the talk, with God backing, with networking, with competence, character, and your capacity, you can push higher.
In other countries, Gabon has extended its night curfew on Saturday as the country held a referendum on a new constitution, which the ruling junta asserts will mark a new era after 55 years of dynastic rule in the oil-rich nation. Around 860,000 registered voters were urged to make their voices heard, with extensive calls from authorities encouraging participation. The campaign has been largely dominated by official propaganda from the junta, which seized power in a coup last August. Local media outlets have suggested that voter turnout will be a crucial factor in determining the referendum's outcome. And Iran has expressed its full support for any decision Lebanon makes regarding ceasefire negotiations with Israel, according to a senior Iranian official on Friday. This statement follows a request from Lebanon's leadership for Iran's assistance in mediating in a ceasefire amidst rising tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. According to a statement from his office, Lebanon's caretaker, Prime Minister Najib Mikati, urged senior Iranian officials to support the implementation of the Resolution 1701 alongside efforts to halt Israeli aggression. Finally, on sports, Super Eagles caretaker coach Augustine Eguavoin has defended some of his controversial call-ups to the national team, particularly the inclusion of Kelechi Iheanacho and Umar Sadiq for the upcoming 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. Eguavoin faced criticism for selecting Iheanacho and Sadiq, who have struggled to secure regular playing time at their respective clubs this season. In response to this criticism, Eguavoin explained that it is challenging to integrate new players into the squad, given the limited preparation time before matches. He emphasized that with such short intervals to prepare, it's better to stick with familiar faces who are already accustomed to the team's setup. And Portugal's national team captain Cristiano Ronaldo has revealed that he will retire from football when he no longer feels motivated to continue playing. The 39-year-old made the statement after scoring twice in Portugal's 5-1 victory over Poland in a UEFA Nations League match, taking his career tally to an incredible 910 goals. The match also marked a significant milestone for Ronaldo, as it was his 215th appearance for the Portuguese national team. With his 2 goals, he further extended his international goal-scoring record, now sitting at 134 and 135 goals for Portugal. Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Simi Salatikun. We'll see you again next time.